Okay, let's get started. We need board number 1, like this one, and part number 1. Here it is. We pop the part out of the board by carefully pressing on the parts with the cross pieces. Then we take the toothpicks and get them ready. According to the instructions, each toothpick should be cut in two. To do this, we make a little notch with a knife, and then it can be easily broken in two. Please note the position of the part. Be careful to avoid turning it around. The part should be positioned as shown in the instruction. Insert toothpicks into the holes shown in the instruction. Please note that the big hole is located at the bottom right. Next, part number 2 should be attached at the top. Here it is. Press on the part to extract it and match the small hole with the small one and the big hole with the big one. Then attach the part at the top. Be careful while attaching it to each toothpick to avoid damage. Next, part number 3 should be attached at the top in the same way. Match the small hole with the small one and the big hole with the big one. Then fit part number 3. Take part number 4. Here it is on the board. Pay attention to its position. This corner should be positioned at the side of the small hole. Fit the part on top. Press down the part again carefully at each toothpick to avoid damage. Now, all the parts are firmly connected. According to the sign in the instruction, all extra toothpicks can be cut off. That's what we do. Notch the toothpick so now you can break it. In case of any burrs left, you can sand them a bit.
Если остались какие-то заусенцы, можно их
Here is the assembly we've made.
подрезать. такая у нас получилась деталька.
You can see some extra holes on both sides, here and here. Leave them as is. They're purely decorative. No further toothpick connections are required. We need two parts like this. Assemble the second part following the above pattern. Take part number 1 first. Cut out 5 short toothpicks by splitting a long toothpick in half and insert them in the hole of the first assembly. The unit we are assembling now is called M1 block. We should have 2 identical non-mirrored units. Part number 2 should be attached from the top. Match the holes and attach the next part number 2. Again, carefully and slowly,
на каждую зубочисточку потихонечку одеваем детальку.
Press the part down to each toothpick to avoid damage. Next part, number 3. Match the holes and attach it. Press it down all the way to leave no empty spaces and take out part number 4. Check that the small hole is aligned with the corner on part number 4. Then attach the part. Cut off all extra toothpicks, just like in the first case.
Лишние зубочистки.
In the result, we have 2 identical engine blocks called M1 blocks. Let's put them aside for a while. Now we can start assembling the next unit, part number 13 on the board. This part is pretty thin and therefore we may need a helper. Here are 2 helpers I mentioned in the beginning. We will now need this part. Part
Деталька
number
номер
13.
13. Аккуратненько нажимаем хелпером в местах, где видим закрепленный.
Press with the helper carefully on the parts with the cross pieces and the part will come out. Part number 13. And we'll also need the set of parts number 14. Here they are. Take the whole set. Extract parts number 14 carefully.
Аккуратненько выламываем.
You can do it with the helper or with your fingers, whichever you find more comfortable. We should have 16 pieces.
Пустой блок в сторону.
The empty set can be put aside. We can see the small burrs on these 16 parts left from the toothpicks that require some sanding. To do so, take the sandpaper and slightly sand the edges of these 16 parts.
Края 16 деталей.
This should be done to ensure that these parts don't catch any other parts,
Не цеплялись,
as this is the engine and its proper operation
так как это двигатель,
is very important.
важна его правильная работа. Последняя деталька.
The last part is sanded. The part number 13 should now be waxed at the points where the parts number 14 will be attached.
Детальки номер 14.
Please note that part number 13 is unsymmetrical. When held as shown in the instruction, the short pin
нарисовано в инструкции шип будет у нас коротенький.
should be to your right and the long pin to your left. This short pin, we will give it some waxing too,
Немножко смажем.
is used for attaching parts number 14.
Аккуратненько, по одной до конца.
Do it carefully one by one all the way to the part number 13. Wax parts number 14, 2,
между собой.
between one another along the surfaces and on the side edges. Now we have the block called M2. We can put it aside for a while. The next assembly is part number 9. The crankshaft and parts number 10 and number 11. Please note that parts 10 and number 11 are paired and are connected to each other like this. Washer number 12 will be fitted on top of them, and these 3 parts will make a piston. Now we are going to attach them to the crankshaft. Position the part as shown in the instruction. The hole is on the left and the pin is on the right. Send the ends of the part to remove burrs Give them a good boxing. Take part number 10, attach it to the crankshaft and fix the part number 9. I already showed you how to put them through each other. Here's what we have. The next part is washer number 12. Please note that its hole is rectangular rather than square. According to the instruction, the longer side should go along the pin. To do this, wax the pin formed by the parts number 9 and number 10 and attach the part number 12 to it. One down. Now the next ones. Part number 10. Part number 9. Match them. Wax the pin and attach part number 12. The long hole goes along the pin. We should have 8 positions like this. Be careful attaching part number 12 to avoid damaging the pin.
Чтобы не сломать шип.
Match the parts, wax them, and attach the washer.
Шайбу.
Now the last two.
Последние две. Последняя, десятая.
The last parts, number 10 and number 11.
Смазываем шип.
Wax the pin and attach part number 12.
Детальку.
Done?
Закончили. Это у нас
Now we
получился
have
блок
M3 block.
M3.
Let's put it aside for a while. Now we'll need part number 6. Here it is on the board. Please note that the part is unsymmetrical. It has a projection like this.
Выступ. И ее нужно немножечко
You need to sand the part next to all the holes at this,
у всех отверстий, так как здесь будут вращающиеся шайбочки, которые должны хорошо
are the locations of the rotation washers, which must
иметь
rotate
свободный
freely.
ход.
Same on the back side.
Тоже. Это такой небольшой секрет, который
This is a
можно
little
сделать
secret
и
that will help you improve engine operation.
улучшить работу двигателя. Дальше.
Next,
Теперь
now the
плоскость
surface,
детали и
The hole.
отверстия
and
и
side slots
боковые
of the
пазы
part
нужно
should be
смазать
waxed.
воском. Еще
I
раз
draw your
обращаю
attention
внимание,
once
с
again
какой
to the
стороны
location of
должна
the
быть
projection.
должен быть выступ на детали.
It should be on the left side. Here are our two parts of M1 block.
Внимательно обратите внимание.
Note that the dent should be to the right, and M1 block goes into part number 6 rear side first. You can prop it against the desk surface and insert it all the way into the slot. Then we need M3 block, which we've just assembled.
Он ставится.
Place it so that the hole is positioned towards you.
Отверстием.
Then you can wax the pistons to ensure their better movement.
Воском поршни, чтобы они лучше ходили.
The short pin with the hole should be run through the middle hole in part number 6.
Средние на шестой детальке.
And all the
И все
pistons
поршни
should be divided in two groups. Like this.
таким образом.
The first piston
В
away
направлении
from
от
you
себя
goes to the left.
в левую сторону.
The second piston goes to the right, and so on.
Так, попарно.
Connect the parts
И
and insert the crankshaft in the hole. The
дальше
next block
следующий блок.
is M1 block. Insert part number 6
Ставим
into the slot in the
детали
same way,
номер 6.
right
Вот
there.
сюда. Обратите внимание, здесь
Please note that the dent should be positioned towards the part number
детали номер
6.
6. Точно так же надо
The pistons should be guided into the holes in the same way.
и можно опереть и попасть
Prop it against the desk surface and run through the slot of
детали
part number
номер
6.
6.
Then
Следующий нам понадобится
we will need
блок М2
M2 block.
коротеньким шипом. Ставим его в вот это отверстие.
Run its short pin through this hole of part number 6
И закрепляем
and
деталь
fix it with
номер
part number
5.
5. I recommend you to give it some sanding
Немного затереть наждачной бумагой и смазать.
and waxing. Wax the holes and slots on the inside.
Внутри отверстий и пазы.
Part number
номер
5
5
is
симметричная.
symmetrical.
Продеваем.
Run the guides through the hole
Направляющие сквозь отверстие и
and fix the pins.
шипы. Не пытайтесь
Don't try
сразу.
to fix both pins at the same time.
Лучше один.
It's better to fix one at a time. It is important to fix them tightly all the way
Чтобы
to
детали
ensure
правильно
proper
друг с
contact
другом
between the parts.
соприкасались.
You can
Можно
use the
опереть об
desk
стол.
surface if you feel uncomfortable
удобно
to
это
do it
сделать
with your
руками.
hands. Just
Главное,
don't
ничего не
damage
поломать.
anything. This is block we've got now. We can also check if all the parts are moving
Работу. У нас всё
and
легко
rotating
двигается,
freely.
вращается. И дальше
Then
мы
we
одеваем
attach gear number
шестереночку
16
номер 16 на
to the
длинную
long
ось.
axle. You can find it on
Находится на
board
доске
number
номер
2.
2.
Here it is. Before assembling, wax the axle base
Основание
to which the gear will be
она
attached,
одевается. И еще раз
and again the surface of the part and the gear itself.
и саму шестеренку. На
After
шестеренках
extraction,
иногда
gears
появляются
may have burrs
при
like this.
выламывании вот такие
They should be
вопросы.
removed right away
И
so they
нужно
do
сразу
not
удалять,
interfere with the
чтобы они не мешали
operation.
работе. Шестереночка одевается.
The gear should be attached to the short axle with the hole.
С отверстием.
Here,
Здесь
we'll
нам
need
понадобится
helper with
хелпер,
size number 2
отмеряет
to
длину
measure the
зубочисток
toothpick's length.
с
Take a toothpick,
размером номер
cut it
2.
in two.
Берем зубочистку.
Apply it to the hole number 2 and cut it at the mark of the helper. We get a short
подставляем в
toothpick which we
отверстие
insert in
номер
the
2
axle hole
и срезаем, где заканчивается
and fix the gear with it.
метка хелпера. Вот, получилась такая коротенькая зубочистка, которую ставим в отверстие оси и закрепляем шестеренку.
You can use the helper to do it.
Хелпером.
Now, we attach part number 7. Part number 7 can also be found on board number 1.
Ее зачищаем.
Let's sand it.
Устанавливаем.
Attach the part on top and fix it with toothpicks. Cut the toothpicks in two and insert them into the holes. Cut the extra lengths on both toothpicks. It's time to assemble valves.
Клапанов.
To do so, we'll need 8 toothpicks, for 16 valves,
8 больших и
8 big valves and 8 smaller ones. And parts number 18 and number 19. Here they are. Part number 18 is smaller and part number 19 is bigger. Extract these two sets and then the parts using the helper. Extract parts number 9 first. There are 8 of them. You should also measure the distance using the fifth helper mark to make 16 toothpicks like this.
Таких зубочисток.
Assembly of the engine is meticulous work. Too many small parts. Finally done. Now we have 16 toothpicks ready to use for parts number 19, extracted from the set.
Зубочисток, которые вставляем в детальки номер 19, которые мы достали.
You can wax the toothpick ends to facilitate insertion
Они заходили. И
and prop the parts against the desk surface to get the assembly like this.
Части. Каждую нужно
Each part should be inserted all the way down to ensure their equal lengths. This, in turn, will ensure their alternative movement when assembled in the engine.
Двигались по очереди.
Five parts are done. The sixth is underway. In case a toothpick is not fitted properly, it should be aligned or replaced to ensure the exact position of the valve.
Чтобы клапан стал ровненько. Вот. И
The eighth is done. 8 big parts are done. Now it's the turn of 8 smaller ones. Parts number 18. Pop them out carefully
аккуратненько.
and after waxing the ends of the toothpicks,
смазывая
insert them into the parts.
одеваем. И ставим немножечко.
Keep them separately to avoid confusion. And the last thing. I've lost a piece of toothpick somewhere.
Зубочистки, ну,
I'll cut a new one
по пятому.
using the fifth mark of the helper
И тоже смазываем.
and wax its end. Now, as all washers, number 18 and number 19, are fitted to the toothpicks, they can be easily sanded around their circumference. One by one, turn it a bit and remove burrs to ensure smooth movement and operation of the valves.
От заусенцев, чтобы они не мешали движению и работе клапанов. Также можно зачистить концы.
You can also sand loose ends of the toothpicks
Свободные концы зубочисток.
and wax
Тоже
them.
смазать их.
I use both types of candles. They are basically the same.
Просто удобней.
This one is just more convenient to use. Because it has a base by which you can hold it. It takes no time. Turn it, and the washer is waxed. Done.
Шайбочка смазалась. Готово.
The valves are ready.
Переворачиваем страничку инструкции, и здесь мы
Turn the instruction page to see the diagram explaining how the valves should be positioned in our engine.
Вот. Держим двигатель.
Hold the engine so a slung axle is turned towards you
И начинаем
and start from the right. Part number 2, valve number 2, is the first on our list. These are the parts that have been made first. They are parts number 19, which are a bit bigger, and parts number 18, which are a bit smaller. These are K1 parts. Let's start with K2 part. It should be inserted into the hole first. To install it correctly, we push the guide on the rear using the helper.
С обратной стороны для нее направляющую.
Here it is. And insert the part further into the hole on the guide.
И дальше, попадая в направляющую, устанавливаем
to place it where it should be.
место.
The first part
Первое
is
готово.
done. Then,
Дальше по схеме
according to
идет
the diagram, we should
клапан
install
номер
valve
один.
number 1. It corresponds to the third part on the axle.
На оси третья по счету деталька.
Guide it and install it.
И устанавливаем.
Sometimes it can be hard to get it in. Yes, it's a bit tricky, but it's worth it.
Но оно того стоит. Результат.
You will be excited with the result.
Радовать. И
Now the next one. As you can see, the parts are alternating. One goes to the right,
направо, другая.
and the next one goes to the left.
Вот она.
This one will match the valve on this
Клапан
side.
с этой стороны.
For the moment,
Сейчас мы пока оденем.
we'll complete the right side and then we'll switch to the left side.
То есть нам нужны не
This means that we need the odd
нечетные
parts.
детали.
Number
Первая,
1,
третья,
number
следующая
3,
идет пятая
number 5,
и
and
клапан
then K2 valve,
номер
the smaller parts.
2, маленький.
Insert into this part. Done. Then, according to the diagram, we should install the bigger valve. Correct its position if it's not quite straight and align it.
И выравниваем.
On our diagram, we can see the following order: K2, K1, K1, K2, and the next one is K2 again. Then, it's the turn of K1. Choose alternating guides and insert K1 valve. Then, a smaller K1 again. Use the helper and insert the valve where it should be. The last valve is a bigger K2 valve. Insert it in the last hole on this side. Done. All the right side valves are installed. Let's switch to the left side.
Здесь у нас идут тоже они через один.
Here the valves should also to be installed in alternating order.
И мы
We check with the diagram and find the reference point, which is the big hole. Let's start with the left side. This is the bigger valve number 2.
устанавливаем его.
Insert into the hole. The two smaller valves, K1 and K1. The fourth is K2 and the fifth is K2. And then the next two smaller K1s.
Два маленьких. Помогаем.
Use the helper.
И остается последняя.
Now the last one, K2.
Всё.
All the valves are installed. And now we should press them in
Дожать.
carefully to have them fully inserted in the guide holes at required lengths.
И имели нужную длину.
Now you can turn the axle to see how they move.
Они двигаются
They move in pairs and by turn.
и по очереди.
Then, according to the instruction, we should assemble the rubber band driving motor. But I'd like to give you a little hint to facilitate your further assembly. If you open page 25 of the instruction, in step 3,
шаг номер 3, вы увидите, что деталька номер
you will see that part number 15 and part number 16 should be installed on this pin. We will install part number 15 now, as later it won't be as convenient. It will still be possible, but not as convenient. That's why we'll install part number 15 now, and then we can proceed to the next step specified in the instruction. To do this, the pin should be waxed. Then, holding the axle at this side, carefully attach part number 15. The part should be sanded and waxed.
И смазать.
Be careful when you attach the part, as it is very small and can be easily damaged. However, even if you damaged it or did something wrong,
Сломали, у вас что-то не получилось, есть.
you can use the spare part number 15 included in the kit.
В комплекте. Вот. Здесь она стала, и
Here the part is installed to its location. We can put our engine aside for a while and get back to assembling the rubber band driving motor.
резина мотора. Это
See
страничка
page
номер
9.
9.